Hello guys, welcome to PyOPy, and today we'll be seeing that how we can actually use the concept of reading, or we can say the concept of taking input in Python. So in the previous videos we have seen how we can actually use the print statement to get the things printed on the screen, okay? But in this video we'll see how to take the input. So let's say I want to get a value from the user. So it can be name, it can be age, it can be salary, or it can be the address. Okay. So the way to take the input is by using input function. Okay. So input function is used to take the input. So let's say I want to get a value as input. So I would use input function and I will press enter. So I can input the value as 12. Okay, so it returned 12. So this means the input function returns a value, and this value can be stored in a variable which can be further used in the program. So let's store this value in a variable, let's say a. So a assigned input function, and then it is asking me to input a value. So let's say 50. So if I try to print the value of a, then it will give me 50. Okay, but the problem is that whenever I use this statement, this one, it doesn't actually tells me that for which variable I am inputting the value. Okay, so I may have several variables, but if I use this statement only, that a equal to input and then b equal to input again and then c equal to input once again, then how would this decide that it is actually inputting the value to the variable a, b and c? Okay, so let me show you what I mean. Let's say I have a file. Okay, so I'm typing a code, a equal to input and then b equal to input, then c equal to input. So let's save this file and let's run the file. Let's say I would save this file in on desktop only with the name abc, and let's run this file. So it is waiting for the user to give the input. Okay, so let's give the input as 11 and then 22 and then 33, let's say. So here we are not in a position to guess that it is asking for the value of a. Since we have this particular code with us, so we can actually use the code and guess, okay, the first value will be inputted, like the first value will get assigned to the variable a, second to the variable b, third to the variable c. But if I just give you the program, then you are not in a position to determine that you are putting, like you are giving the input for which variable. Okay, so one thing to solve this program or to solve this problem is that we can actually use the print statements to specify that we are asking for a specific variable's value. Okay, so let's use the print statement and let's say enter value of a. Similarly, after this is input statement, I can use another print statement, and similarly after this input I can use another print statement. Let's say a, b and c. So let's run the code once again. Okay, so this time it is asking, and it is actually saying me that enter the value of a. So this time I know that okay, I have to enter the value of a. So I can use maybe 22. Okay, and then the value of b, let's say 33, and value of c, let's say 44. Okay, so this time if I would get the value of, if I try to get the value of c, then I would get 44, b, then I would get 33, and for a I would get 22. So this was how to take the input in Python, but it's not yet over. So do we really have to use this print statement along with this input statement? The answer is no, because input statement allows you to give this prompt statement inside itself. So what we can do is we can actually use this statement inside the input function only, and we can get rid of this print statements. Okay, so let me do this thing for all the input functions. Okay, so we can do this thing this way as well. So let me save the program and let's run the program once again. It says enter value of a, let's say 44, for b 45, and let's say for c it will be 46. So let's print the values of a, b and c. Okay, so it's working properly. Okay, but input function actually has some default behavior, and that behavior is that if we carefully look at the values assigned to the variables taken using the input function. So if I talk about the value of a, I actually entered 44, for b I entered 45, and for c I entered 46, and it is giving me the correct values, but the values are within the apostrophes. And if you remember from the previous videos, the values in the apostrophes are strings and not the integers. Okay, so if I would use a, like if I will try to print the value of a plus 1, so as per me it should be 45, but since it is actually a string value, so an operation between a string and an integer with a plus, it would actually give me an error. Okay, so let's see this. So we have got the error, and the error is very meaningful. It says can only concatenate str not int to str. Okay, so we'll talk about the operators in the next videos. So let's focus on the input function in this video. So one way to solve this problem is that we can actually convert this string value into an integer, and then we can add 1 to it, and this thing we have actually seen in the previous videos. So what I can do is I can actually convert this integer, this string value into an integer by using int function, and then I can actually use plus 1. So the value of a was 44 in string format. This int function actually converted that value into an integer. So now it is 44 of integer, and then plus 1, so it will give me 45 this time. Okay, cool. So this is the way how we can actually use input function. So input function actually reads the value in the string format, and what we can do is we can actually prove this thing using the type function as well. So if I talk about the value of a, at the moment it is 44. So if I type function of a, so it will give me str. Okay, this proves that the input function actually reads the value in the string format. So if the intent is something like, if we want to get the value in the integer only, so instead of typecasting the values later in the program, what we can do is we can actually use the int function directly over here with the inside a int function. So what I can do is I can actually use int function right here, and this way it will actually convert the value here only in the integer format. Okay, so I can do the same thing with other values as well. Okay, so let's save the program and let's run the program once again. So it is asking me for the values. So let's say value of a would be 55, b will be 56, and c will be 57. So let's get the value of a, b and c. So we can clearly see that we didn't get any apostrophes this time. So this means it is actually an integer value, and we can actually prove this thing by the help of type statement or type function. Let's use type function for a, and it is giving me a integer. Okay, so this is the way how the the input function works in Python. But if I try to use the same concept and the same code in Sublime as of now, it will not work. Okay, because by default input function doesn't work for Sublime. So let's see this thing into action. Let's copy the code from this file and let's paste the code into Sublime Text. Let's say here. Okay, let's save the file and let's run the program by Control B. So it says enter the value of a. So let's say I use 11. So as soon as I type enter, you can see that it didn't ask for the value of b. And if I try to input the value, let's say any value, then it will not work. Okay, this is the functionality of Sublime Text, that it doesn't support input functions by default. But what we can do is we can actually use a tool, or you can say a package, which will enable the functionality of input function in Sublime Text. Okay, so let's close this Sublime and let's reopen Sublime. This time I'll be downloading a package whose name is Sublime REPL. Let's go to preferences, or maybe tools, and then install package control. So it was successfully installed, and then I can use install package. Okay, so now this function is enabled, package control. So I would go to install package, this one, click on that, and it says loading repositories over here. So it will take some time. Okay, so now I can type Sublime REPL. This is the functionality which we will have to install. So it's actually installing the package Sublime REPL. Okay, so it's successfully installed. Okay, so now what I can do is I can actually use tools and then Sublime REPL and then Python and then Python run current file. Okay, let's click on this. It says enter value of a, let's say 10. Okay, so this time it asks for the value of b. Let's add 20, and for 30 let's use, for c let's use 30, and then the program is closed. Okay, so let's print the values here only. So let's say I want a value of a, and then I want the value of b and c, b and c. Let's run the file once again. So tools, Sublime REPL, Python, and then run current file. So value of a it is asking, so let's enter 56, 57 and 58 for c. Okay, cool, this time it's working. But don't you think that it's actually it's a very long step to run a Python file? So what we can do is we can actually create a shortcut for us. Okay, so we'll go to preferences and then key bindings. So these are the shortcuts used by Sublime Text by default. So what we can do is we can actually create our own shortcut. Okay, so I'll give you this code in the description of the video. Okay, this is the code to create a shortcut in Sublime. Just go to Sublime and then go to this particular setting which we have got through the option of key bindings. Okay, and paste this code over here. Okay, now you can actually use any shortcut of your choice. So let's use the shortcut Control plus Shift plus M. Okay, so I'll type here Control plus Shift plus M. So this is going to be my shortcut to run a Python file. Okay, so let's save this by using Control S and then close it. Okay, so this time I'll be using Control Shift M. Okay, so let's use Control Shift M. Okay, and it's working properly. So let's use 11. Okay, let's say 1, 2 and 3, and it's working properly. Okay, this is the way how we can actually configure Sublime Text to take the input as well. So guys, thanks for joining and bye.